Well.
Welcome back to 4 Geeks by Geeks, the place where geeks come to geek out. As always, I'm Boser. Happy Monday, everybody, and happy Geek Out Sesh. Hope your Monday and your week since last week have been going swimmingly. A little update on me. For those that tuned in to the whole 5 minutes of the stream last week, unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties that we couldn't overcome. What's new? But I shared that my AC went out in this national heat wave. Good news! It was fixed today. Bad news. Did you know houses take a very long time to cool back down, even with the AC on? So it's still a little toasty in here. I keep watching the thermostat. It went from 90 degrees, and maybe a couple hours later, I'm like, okay, it's got to be cooler. It was at 88. Beautiful. A couple hours later, 86. So we're dropping down 2 degrees every 2 hours. I've got a fan. It is much more comfortable. I'm down to 1 fan versus the 6 that surrounded me last week. So this is progress. But how are you? Tell me how you're doing. And while you're telling me, go ahead and answer the QOTD. You can use command QOTD, which is, what's a cosplay you've always dreamed of creating? Because tonight's guest might be able to help get you there in a number of ways. But we'll get to that in just a few minutes. I am entering into, once again, another busy time of life for me, as with my real job, entering into a production week. We're getting a little closer. This is the final week that I have to finish up a set for The Little Mermaid. So I'm already having stress dreams about that, but we'll get through it. We always do. And then the following week's Tech Week, where we have long nights. Where my theater kids at? You get it. So next week, we will not have a Geek Out Sesh. I will miss you dearly, but following that, hopefully we'll be back on track, unless that's also the week that I'm traveling back to New York. This summer has been completely bonkers for me. It's been really cool. I've seen both coasts, went to LA 1 week, 2 weeks later was in New York City. So it's been a great time, all through work. So, well, except for the LA, that was just for fun. But it's just been an incredible summer, but a busy summer, and I feel like I need a vacation from my vacations, if you know what that feels like, when you just can't catch up on all the things that you had to put off because you were traveling. But I've considered myself very blessed that I get to do these things, and in those moments of stress, and moments like tonight, when I get to just hang out and vibe with all of you and my geek guest, who is a returning geek guest. That's right. People have a good enough time that they actually want to come back. I have to count my lucky stars and remember how cool my life is. It's awesome. But I hope you guys are doing well. If this is your first Geek Out Sesh, we do this each and every Monday, except for the ones we don't, at 8:30 Eastern Standard live here on Twitch and YouTube. And then you can always watch it back and listen back on YouTube or podcast after, and catch up from the amazing people that come on the show. People like cosplayers, creators, game designers, artists, authors, video game teachers. We've had all sorts, even real life vampires. So this is really cool, and I've got to meet some incredible people through this process. People like my geek guest tonight. If you have been a fan of our show for quite some time, you'll know and recognize this guy's face. You will probably recognize some of his cosplays as we go through his Instagram a little bit tonight. But he's actually bringing a brand new project forward in a way that he can put the tools and the resources in your hands so that you can also become an amazing cosplayer just like him, because that's always been his goal, is to help all of us newbies, people that have no idea what the hell we're doing when given some EVA foam and an X-Acto knife, and pointing us in the right direction so that we can gain the confidence and the skill set to rock that con as we all love to do. So without any further ado, please welcome my guest, returning back for another Geek Out Sesh, my friend, the amazing cosplayer, Noah from Freakish Workshop.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
You're always welcome. because you've always got something going on, and that is something I really appreciate. Because you just never stop grinding for all of us on the other side of the skill set. So I appreciate you.
You were saying you gotta count your lucky stars that you have amazing guests. I have to count my lucky stars that I have friends that have podcasts that I can come on. So, it's a two-way street here.
Well, all it takes is a camera and a microphone. Turns out the skill ceiling is very low.
Oh, shush, you're doing great. No, it's thank you very much for having me back. I do appreciate it. Yeah, you were saying you might recognize his face. I was like, I think most people wouldn't recognize my face. They might recognize like a face that I wear or like a helmet or something. But like, there's been a couple of people that I've met where they're just like, they don't know who they're talking to, and then I show them a photo of like Green Goblin. They're like, "Oh, that's you!"
That
like,
guy.
yeah, that's me. A little bit different under the mask, so
way prettier, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the podcast, folks. We're just gonna lob compliments back and forth for the next hour and a half. Hold on to your hats. But for anybody that you are brand new to them, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do as
So my name is Noah Hubert. I also go by Freakish Workshop. I will answer to both. I have answered to both.
Do you get that on the con floor? Freakish!
Yeah, I get Freakish, and then recently I actually had someone like use my real name, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Are you okay with your real name?" I was like, "I don't care. Sure, whatever."
Just dox you on the con floor.
Yeah, exactly. If I ship something out physically to you, I'm pretty sure like you've got my you kind of know where I live, so it's whatever.
Glad I kept that label.
Yeah. Yeah. So I go by Freakish Workshop. I am a cosplayer specifically. I am a foam smith or a foam crafter. That's primarily what I do. Technically, I really specialize in template making, which, if you don't know what that is, if you do any sewing or anything kind of similar to that, or even architecture, essentially what templating is it is the creation, the development, and testing and publishing of paper patterns. So pieces of paper that are you cut them out. You may need to tape some together. You put it on the foam. You cut the foam out, and then via tutorial, I show you how to make really cool and complicated things, or more complicated things than just like a 2D, piece of foam. That's really what I specialize in. That's as of right now. That's kind of my really kind of go-to thing. That has led into the thing that we're talking about today, and that we've been kind of, or not kind of, but we've been promoting in this episode, which is my build kits, which is a new thing that I'm starting, a new product, a new initiative. There's a lot of different words you can use for it. But to kind of get to know me better,
one
side hobby
to take away
exactly.
Take time.
I've been doing this. It's so much time, but it's so worth it. It's phenomenal. So. I've been doing this for just over 8 years now, working with foam the entire time. Just ended up being. It's been that long. Yeah, I would argue that I started cosplaying and using foam at the peak of Warbler fame. Like, if you were anyone in the cosplay world, you were using Warbler. I'm still here, and Warbler's not. Sorry for all you Warbler users.
Did I miss the Warbler train?
There was a massive Warbler train. It was like, oh, you use foam? Like, you have to use Warbler if you're going to be any good. And
clutch my pearls.
Clutch my pearls, exactly. So, I mean, I specialize in fantasy and sci-fi content. Characters such as, like Marvel stuff, such as I mentioned before, Green Goblin. I've done Punisher, DC stuff like Batman, Red Hood. I've also done like Soldier 76 from Overwatch, and a bunch of other cosplays in between, but almost entirely all kind of focused around foam and foam crafting. This November will be my 5th year selling templates on my Etsy, which is where you can find all my template stuff at this point. Same thing with all my physical products, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a little bit. And then I've got my YouTube as well, which is where all my free tutorials are, as well as a few other kinds of cosplay-related content. I have a podcast series called So You Want to Be a Cosplayer. It is exactly that. If you are brand new to the cosplay world, you want to join, you don't really know where to start or who to talk to. Per episode, I focus in on one kind of niche genre, if you will, sorry, of making cosplay, and I just talk very intro level how to get started. It's about an hour long per episode, but they're phenomenal guests. They're phenomenal episodes. Go take a look. I've got some really cool names up in there, like Tris Rex, who's been another fellow,
Alum.
for Geeks, but yeah, alum, exactly. As well as I've gotten guests like Cosplay Chris from out in Australia, which was a really, really cool thing. So very, very blessed to have been doing that. So it's a great series. And then also because I'm a foam crafter, and because if you have a YouTube channel and you're a foam crafter, you have to do a foam crafting 101 series. I dive in and just kind of take 15, 20 minutes ish, hopefully a little shorter, and just talk about very surface level, very beginner friendly, how to get started on cosplaying. And it's like episode 1 is like, what kind of knives do you want to use? And that's the whole episode. So it's very focused. It's very easy to consume. You can easily, kind of watch them on repeat. So if you're not getting the pattern here, a lot of what I do is focused on new cosplayers, and specifically getting people into foam crafting, because it can be really scary to look at things like an Iron Man suit, for example, on Instagram or Pinterest.
Yep.
And you find out that's foam, and you look at like your puzzle piece rainbow color foam mats that you got from the dollar store, and you have no idea how to get from point A to point B.
No.
And so that's hopefully where I come in, and that's what I specialize in. So.
And that's what I've always appreciated about you. I think the last time that you were here was kind of unveiling that Cosplay 101, or So You Want to Be a Cosplayer series.
I think so,
And
yeah.
I've just always appreciated the fact that in this cosplay scene, like, we've had countless cosplayers on this podcast, and one of the things that, like, we love about the cosplay scene is that it's very supportive for the most part, but then there is always the dark side where once you get really good at something, then all of a sudden you stop sharing what you're doing because you don't want somebody else to come and like rip off your thing. But you've never done that. You've always just sought, how can I make my knowledge more accessible to the public and to new people? Because like, it is daunting as fuck. Like in the theater scene, finally my boss is all about the cosplay. He's understanding that this world has a vast knowledge of things in the world of costuming, and he's like, great, get on that. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, I don't know how to do it. I just know it exists.
That's really funny.
So I'm looking up Freakish Workshop YouTube and like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, honestly, kind of jumping off of that, there's some. Well, it's really kind of frustrating, in that there is absolutely this sense of a walled garden, within the kind of like you're saying, there's a dark side. So a lot of people say like, no, we're all open and free and peace and love, man. I'm like, no, there are some massive cliques in this community. There are some really, really dark sides, and there's a double-edged sword in the no gatekeeping side of the argument. Yes, we don't want to gatekeep. We don't want to keep anybody out. But that also means that you do let some wolves into the sheep pen, unfortunately, just to use terms that people understand.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, and I'll be honest, I'm a student of Evil Ted, who has free templates on his website, and his templates are really cheap, and I take a lot of kind of going from him. And he is, if you guys don't know who he is, most of the time you guys will know when Mythbusters are. So Adam Savage within the kind of special effects and prop world, Evil Ted is Adam Savage for cosplay. He's been here the longest, arguably. He's super approachable. He's a very lovely person. I've chatted with him a couple times. I've been on a couple podcasts, or one podcast with him. And yeah, he's really, really awesome. If you guys don't follow him, I highly recommend it. Again, free templates or really cheap templates. It's where I started. And so I look at it and I'm like, why would I try and do something different? What he's doing is A, working, and B, it helped me. So why wouldn't I do that for somebody else? So yeah, that's and then kind of what I mentioned before with the walled garden. When it comes to tutorials and templates, there's a lot of people that sell them out there. A lot of really good people. that are really good teachers and creators. In the same way that, if you've been to university or anything, that you've met professors that are incredibly knowledgeable, but they're not great teachers.
Sure.
They're very passionate. They know a lot. They have no idea how to teach it. There are people like that who do templates and tutorials out there that mean well, but they're not great teachers. And then there are people who I don't know what their meaning is, but one of the reasons I started doing templates and tutorials is there are a few people out there, I'm not going to name them, they skip filming steps on their tutorials, and I can see that. I watch a video and go, you did something. There is step 12.5, and you're not telling me what that is, but if I keep following your instructions, I've missed something. And so what you did is critical, but you didn't film it because either you think, oh, people should just know this, I'm not going to say it out loud. I made sure that my tutorials are, and if you would like to know more about tutorials, I have 2 parts on tutorials because it's the thing I rock at. It's the thing my jam. So I have 2 videos on my Foam Crafting 101 series about templating. My templating language, how I label things, is super simple. It's kind of dummy proof in a way. Like, it's very, if you listen to my tutorials, it's very like, take A1 and glue it to A2, and then take B1 and glue it to A2. Like, it's super kind of monotonous, but it's to make sure that it's as simple as possible, that there's nothing left behind. And part of that is the build kits, which is why I wanted to come on here, not just to say hi to some great people and Boser and
You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, that. Oh, yeah, I know, but still, I gotta sweeten the pot a little bit. I gotta bring some entertainment quality. So anyway, so the build kits, which is what we're talking about today, is kind of the next evolution of the thing that I've been doing for the last couple of years.
I gotta ask.
So yeah,
like, were T and I at least part of an inspiration when you tried to guide us through on stream to make a Batman cowl, and it turned out like utter garbage, and you thought, maybe I can make this easier for the dummies in the world?
I don't think you guys were a direct inspiration, but it's definitely something that people have talked about. I've either heard them talk about, really the build kits. So I'll introduce the build kits kind of just formally here. So my build kits, I'm not sure if you have a photo of me holding the bag that you could show, or those packages.
Yeah.
So this is what you're going to get in the build kit. A build kit, right now I have only 3, just because this is a brand new initiative, a different price point than my normal stuff on my Etsy and everything, and it's relatively new within the cosplay world that I can, as far as I can tell. A build kit is essentially, you're going to get a bag, or a box, if it's via mail, or in person. I've got like brown paper bags that I can hand out. They're going to have one of these labels on them. So for copyright reasons, the totally not a Batman Dark Vigilante cowl.
Dark Vigilante, my favorite superhero. I always went for Halloween.
I got copyright strike on Etsy. I know, right? It's awesome. It's phenomenal. It's totally not Batman at all. And then my pouches, which is like my #1 seller on my Etsy. It's usually super popular. It's something that almost every cosplay needs.
Oh yeah.
The 3 pouch pack is going to come with things to make a small, medium, and large pouch. And then my Special Forces helmet is obviously my Special Forces helmet pattern. But what the build kit really is it takes away the need for cutting. It takes away the need for finding the right kind of glue and the right kind of foam. And this is what I think was the issue when we did the Batman build.
Exactly.
I think you guys had 1mm foam, if I remember correctly, which is just a little too thin, so the glue didn't have enough bite to it. There wasn't enough glue together.
I couldn't find the super glue. I went and found like Gorilla Glue or something, but then that dries after like 8 hours. So I'm like, great, here's step 1. I'm going to call you tomorrow for step 2.
Exactly. So what this does, in a build kit, you're going to get pre-cut foam, the right thickness. It's going to be labeled and everything. And then you're also going to get a tube of glue, which is the glue that I use, which is this contact cement glue that I buy at the dollar store. So what it ends up being is you're going to get this. This is my Batman cowl, unpainted.
Sorry, Dark Vigilante.
My Dark Vigilante. Sorry, Warner Brothers. Yeah. So what you're going to do, though, is you're going to have everything you need. You're just going to have to glue it, and you're going to have to paint it yourself. But this gets rid of the need to cut and to get a cutting mat and to like, I don't really feel like I'm not comfortable around knives, which is a completely valid feeling. I just need to make that clear. Knives, I poked and cut myself too many times for me to kind of, look down on that. That, it takes away everything. You get all the foam, it's pre-cut. It's the right thickness for the template that I recommend. It's how I build it. It's all pre-packaged, and then you get the thing of glue, and then you're ready to build, and then you're ready to paint, so it takes templates. The way I've been describing is sort of templates get rid of your first step, which is what am I going to build, and how do I build it? Templates help you with that. And then the next thing is, okay, but what do I need to build it? I'm giving you the glue and I'm giving you the foam, and it's pre-cut. It is exactly the way it needs to be for my tutorials.
And is it all pre-labeled like what we're seeing here?
Pre-labeled, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
bless you. Doing the Lord's
And I
work.
do that because in case you want to make a second one, you can go on and buy my templates again if you wanted to, or if you're being completely honest with you, and I'm not going to get mad if you do it, just trace out the pieces before you glue them together onto foam again. Just saying.
It's like training wheels for
training wheels.
You know what it should look like?
It's training wheels for foam crafting, exactly. The little kind of tagline I have is no foam, no glue, no problem. Build kits.
I like it.
So yeah, this is, again, it's very limited. So we're doing Batman, something a bit more complicated, Special Forces, which is something new, and it's a bit of a passion project of mine, the kind of military stuff. And then the pouches, which is just a very popular pattern of mine. We're going to expand this if it gets popular, if it starts to, become a resource that people are going to want more of. I'm open to new ideas. For now, we're going to try and stick to, we're going to try and stick to my template list, just because it's a proven market, if that makes sense, because I do have to think about marketing and selling stuff, and trying to kind of make some money back on this. However, it's priced rather reasonably, so to make the Batman cowl that you have there, to get the foam and the glue, it's $25 before shipping, which is, if you buy through my Etsy, I believe is pretty cheap. I know that Etsy does a lot of things a lot of people don't like, and this is very convenient for both buyer and seller, and so I've stayed on Etsy for as long as I have. So.
And they protect both the buyer and the seller.
Correct. So yes, exactly.
I get it. It's nothing perfect in this day and age.
It's really not, no, and I've had nothing but good experiences with Etsy. So anyway, that's where you're going to be able to find these build kits, is on my Etsy. They are currently live right now. And it's basically, the tutorials are essentially my regular tutorials, just without the cutting instructions, which is like, I don't know, a quarter of my total tutorials, or not even, like a fifth of my tutorials are like, okay, now cut them out. Okay, now we start to glue them together. Like, it's very, very quick. So yeah, that's my new kind of thing. This is part of a want to make this cosplay thing a bit more of a part-time job and like an actual getting an income. I'm one of the it's kind of awkward for me to talk about it because I'm not used to talking about it. I'm one of the few cosplayers right now that actually make money off of Etsy, and like a regular amount. It's nothing like survivable or minimum wage or anything, but I'm making money, and not a lot of people can say that, and so I'm very, very, oh, there they are, look at that. If you guys see on the top right there, that's what the pouches kind of look like when they're built. So there's the small, medium, and then large, right to left. Yeah, there they are. And then, but you don't get googly eyes. That's optional. You guys can choose to do that.
No, I have used googly eyes on theater sets all the time. They look like rivets, and nobody knows, and it's amazing.
Here, let me. I'm just gonna grab. This is also. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is a good example. This is my chain gun prop that I just made. You can see all of these rivets are googly eyes. There's about a dozen eyeballs looking at you right now.
I learned that from a cosplayer. A local one came to our con, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what are those rivets made of?" And he's like, "Googly eyes." I'm like,
"Googly eyes, man." And if you want to flatten them down, I'm not saying to do this because it can be a little dangerous, but if you use a heat gun and you pop them, they flatten down a little bit more, so they look more like a nail head or a pin instead of like a stud. So it's just a little tip and trick there. But again, using a heat gun, using a lot of heat, just be careful, be safe, all that jazz. So
Plywood wants to know when he can find some Helldiver suit and weapons on your shop.
that is on my list of things to do. I do still currently work full time, and so I come home and I'm just constantly working on things. I'm also in the middle of Con Crunch myself, in that I'm still working on my big Rhino cosplay, and it's not done yet.
Coming.
And so I'm trying to do that and work on templating and stuff like that. So right now I have a tutorial that I just need to do voiceover for foam buckles. So in case you don't know where to find real buckles, or you want to save some money, because sometimes some buckles can be pretty expensive. I've got foam buckles. I don't have them here, unfortunately, but they're foam, so they're not weight bearing or anything like that, but they're really, really good kind of faux versions that can be very, just for like decoration and aesthetic use. And so I do try and balance cosplaying for myself and the business side of things. So.
But how? How do balance? That's my question to every guest ever. How do balance?
Don't. I'm so tired.
See, I hate being tired. So usually when I'm tired, I'm like, nah, and I let some things go. But then I do a Geek Out Sesh.
That's fair. There's a lot of love and passion. Exactly. It's stuff like this where you can kind of turn your brain off in a way. And I know that sounds crazy looking at this kind of thing where you have to do a lot of thinking, a lot of creative problem solving. You need your brain, but
I need more brain capacity than I've ever used to do any of this. At least that's what it feels like.
Hopefully not, because hopefully the tutorial can kind of help guide you through and everything. So, yeah. So for example, one of my next things is going to be the gauntlets here that you guys can see. That's going to be a build kit, because lots of superhero kind of stuff, or just a lot of cosplayers need a gauntlet.
Versatile. The versatile thing.
It's versatile. It's
towards almost any cosplay.
Yeah, same thing with my neck guard. With the neck seal you saw at the top. I think that's pretty... Yeah. Right now, that's kind of, as the kids say, popping off on my...
Are they still saying that?
on my
it lasts like 2 seconds before they move on to new words. At least back when we made up
I
words,
could be like
it
10
lasted
years
like
behind.
10 years. We're all right. As soon
right?
as we say it out of our mouths, we're 10 years behind.
Pretty much. If it gets to us, it's been 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I work for a school too, and I'll hear it one day. I'll throw it back in their face the next day and be like, Mr. Boser, nobody says that anymore.
Nobody says that
yesterday!
Anymore.
It's been 24 hours!
Exactly.
I have a question on the cowl.
Yeah.
Because when we were trying to make it on stream, T and I, and we were cutting it, you were helping us try to measure it to our head. How do you mitigate that with this pre-cut kit?
So the variations are coming. I'm working out. There's the print ratio that I have to figure out. But essentially, when you purchase the build kit, you're going to have options: small, medium, or large. And the small, medium, or large are going to cover certain head and neck diameters. And then I get that information. I've got pre-printed templates for those different sizes, and then I cut them out specifically for those sizes at this point. There's a lot of quality control that's still happening right now. And so it's, again, like, this has been live for, I think, 48 hours at this point, which has been really exciting.
I didn't realize it was that new. So, I knew that you were...
Yeah. No, this is brand new. I piloted it. I kind of first started, I teased it. I'm not sure if you guys follow, sorry, my brain's going. Forgees by Geeks on Instagram, you'll have seen that they posted the teaser that I made. That was like a week ago. And so this is relatively new when it comes to a product, and so there's a lot of kind of stuff we got to figure out. Again, like for example, I sent you guys one, and I realized that there's a piece missing.
It was like 5 seconds long.
I had to make 3 versions. So one to sell at a con, one to send to you, one to make for a demo cowl, because I actually don't have, like, my own cowl that I had for my own cosplay is really old and wrecked at this point. So I wanted to make a new one, and just to show people what you're making, right? And so, yeah, just one of the nostril pieces missed from getting in the bag. So, which is kind of funny.
Oh, but you couldn't tell from
But
inside the bag.
no, 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 no. It's one of those. There's so much foam, and that's the nice thing about all of this is because it's just foam and a little bit of glue. It's really light, and so the packages can actually be relatively small, which is really nice. And then
Right.
you're saving on shipping as well, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really nice as well.
For again, I'm focusing this Batman cowl because if T were here, that's all he would want to talk about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on
Did I
one of
bring it
these,
down? I don't think I have it down.
that's all right. On one of these, I clicked the next screen apparently, and I lost my screen share. Um, but I want to just show what I'm talking about. Here you go. For all the kids who are visual learners, who are like, okay, that's not going to look like anything once it's done. Yes, it will.
Oh yeah.
It sure will. And here's you wearing one.
Yeah, that's it. It's there's a different texture being used here than just foam. But yes, that's
Yeah.
the same pattern. Yeah.
But it's this photo. This has this like contoured bit around the cheekbone that's classic like Christian Borle or not, Christopher Nolan. Christian Borle.
Yeah.
That's a musical theater guy. Christopher Nolan's Batman. Is that included? Like, or do you walk through on how to achieve that with the kit?
Yeah, so that's the kit doesn't have that. So that's actually it's all one piece. That contour was accidental in a way as I was like holding things and gluing them.
Oh, that's
My
good.
thumb was just kind of pushing into the foam.
Uh-huh.
And then but you can make that really easily, that kind of detail work using a heat gun and the foam itself. So you heat that area up and then you take your thumb in or something kind of round like a golf ball would really
Yeah.
work, something like that, even like a large marble. And you just kind of roll it into the foam, and you're pushing the foam out. It's called heat forming, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You can really stretch the foam in those ways, as long as you're careful. You don't want to like rip any seams or anything. But yeah, that you can really see it in this photo because the reflections of the foam. But that all is one piece. So it ends up being a bit more flat when you're building it. It's something you could add to your cosplay if you wanted. It's hard to make that piece for someone for one template. It would end up splitting that piece into 2 or 3 pieces, which again kind of complicates the shape. It adds more work and stuff like that. So a lot of my templates are made to be as simple and as foundational as possible. So it's designed for the head and the neck to fit together so that you get that like one neck kind of Keaton Batman style look. You
Uh-huh.
do not have to do that. That is completely up to you. You can customize it, but this is a very kind of basic Batman cowl. It's more Ben Affleck-y. Like the ears are kind of
Oh, yeah. A little
stubby.
shorter.
Yeah, they're a bit shorter. I was mainly making this for a Flashpoint Batman cosplay, and so I wanted Thomas Wayne to be a bit more bruiser, and so I felt like the kind of shorter ears was a bit more like a boxer kind of look, like
I like it.
much more like kind of thicker and broader and beefier than like the long Halloween ears, for example.
And little guys like me need cosplays to help us look beefier. Now, you've
Hey, I'm
worn
wearing a muscle
this.
suit there. You can see my bicep there. That is not my real bicep, sir.
Yes, it is. Don't you? I see it right here. Don't you lie to me. But like you've worn this like out at a con, yeah? Like
Yeah, yeah.
like if I'm putting this together, how
Mhm.
like sturdy is it going to be? How much can I move in it without it falling immediately to pieces?
So that is down to 2 things. One, if you're using 1 millimeter foam like we tried last time, not very much. At 3 millimeter foam, it's fantastic. It works really, really well. You can also just go in and reinforce a lot of those seams with either hot glue or by gluing on the inside. You can glue just like other foam strips around to reinforce some places. You can also add. So, for example, if you go back to the front image of the cowl there, so the neck and the head, you can glue the neck together if you want, if your head's big enough. However, what I do for mine is I add either a Velcro piece to that, or not a Velcro, sorry, elastic strap, that front
Okay.
piece, so there's a bit of flex, or on the back of the neck piece, you can't really see it in any of these photos, but on the back, there's a seam down the center. You can add a zipper.
Oh,
So
like way back here?
exactly, yeah, you can kind of see it there. So you can add a zipper there to make it easier to put on. Um, the cowl is actually like I've usually had to put a little bit of foam in to pad my head, because other than like near the ears, it's kind of bigger than your head. Like it's kind of made to sit over your head, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and so, but otherwise, like the amount of movement you have, I was definitely doing this. I was definitely doing the Keaton.
Classic Batman, yeah.
You're looking with your shoulders, right?
It wouldn't be right to be able to turn your head. It's not
Yeah, exactly.
dark
You don't want to back.
vigilante.
No, that's ridiculous.
Those aren't the comics I grew up
Um,
reading, Dark Vigilante.
No, no. But this gives you the option to do either. You can make the neck guard a separate piece, or you can connect it to the head and get that look. I find that most Batman cowl templates you find are usually just the head. And then you're supposed to wear a balaclava under it or something. I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to accomplish something that gave you the option to do either. And so that's what I kind of came up with. And I was definitely inspired and used a lot of some jumping off points from other template makers as well. Like I didn't make this in an echo chamber. Nothing I do is within an echo chamber, except I will say the pouches are that was entirely like I had never looked at a pouch template before. I didn't know there were pouch templates. There are, but I wanted to make mine without any seams that you could see, very leather-like. And so I tried to figure it out. It's essentially just kind of like origami in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pouches are a great example. They're basic. You could add a bit more of like a military buckle to them and make them more modern or sci-fi. Or I have a video on my YouTube in my tips and tricks playlist where I talk about how to texture and paint foam to look like weathered leather. So you could go the medieval route if you'd like. The pouches are phenomenal. You can use them for anything. You use them for Deadpool. You use them for the Batman. Yeah, my Batman belt is that if you still are daunting, if it still looks very daunting and you don't know what to do, I do sell the belts pre-made. That has that kind of clasp in the middle there. The elastic strap you have, I ask for your waist measurements, and then it's kind of custom fit to yourself as well.
I love the look of this. This looks like real leather, like really old weathered leather.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a pretty good. I don't remember who taught it to me, and I apologize every time I talk about it because I'm not giving the person the credit. It is tinfoil. So you take 1 millimeter foam, you heat it up so that it's really kind of soft. You crumple up tinfoil, and then you can roll it and push it in and twist it, and it creates that pox texture. And then it's just a matter of dry brushing technique, which is pretty. I say it's pretty simple, but again, look at my tutorial. I kind of explain what to do. I start dark and go out light, and then you get a really, really awesome texture to do stuff like this.
Okay, let's pretend that I shouldn't come anywhere near craft tools.
Okay.
But I get excited. I order this. What sort of like base skills have you found? Like the kinds of things that people might have a slight edge to that help them make these as almost as good as the Freakish Workshop himself.
A openness to learning is really all it is. There's a lot of practice and repetition. Foam crafting can seem very daunting, and unfortunately, there's no other way for me to say this. You're only going to get better by doing more of it. This is a great step where you don't have to worry about finding quote unquote the right foam, because there's no such thing as the right foam. You can make almost every single one of my cosplays using dollar store materials. The chain gun, the bullets, just wait for Halloween. These are foam wrapped tinfoil cardboard tubes. This is all foam that you can find at the dollar store. These are googly eyes. Like, you can make this from the dollar store.
So when you're saying the dollar store, like 8x11 kind of sheets, right? Not like those big giant rolls that feel excessive.
No, you can make it with the rules, but you can absolutely just use the smaller stuff that you find at the dollar store. Yeah, absolutely. You might need to use more of it. There might be a few
Yeah.
more seams, but again, the more you use it, the more comfortable you are, the better at it you're going to get. But hopefully, these build kits will help get you started. Because again, you just kind of have to start. That's the only thing I can tell people. It's daunting. I totally understand it. I've been there. If you're willing to learn, that is really the only skill, because a lot of it has to do with gluing. I can show you. So they come in these toothpaste tubes, the glue. This is really the only technical side of things. Let's see if I can.
Just raw dogging and no gloves.
No mask. So it comes out, and it's kind of this wet, kind of glop texture. And then you just take some paper or some scrap foam if you have it lying around, and you just do this, and then you wait for about a minute, and then once it's ready, you glue it together.
And
once it's
how
ready,
quickly
you
does
just
it
do
adhere?
So within that minute, it is almost instantaneous. You don't really have a lot of work time within that for the cement glue. Foam Crafting 101, my series, I have a whole episode on glue. What to expect from, say, super glue and hot glue and cement glue, which ones I recommend to begin with. If you don't want to use this glue, if you're too afraid, or I'm not in a well-ventilated area and I don't have a gas mask, you can absolutely build any of these with hot glue. It just might take a bit more time, and the end result might be a bit different.
One of my first cosplays that I've made,
you're dealing with more,
were these. I really bit off more than I could chew. I'm helping somebody make articulating wings. And
oh gosh,
the structure was super cool. Like I was actually pretty proud of them, but they fell apart every fucking 5 seconds at the con.
Oh no!
Because I used hot glue, and nothing would stick. And especially trying to fix it on the con floor with hot glue, like that, it needs some time to set and cool down. And I glued it. I'm like, great, you're ready to go. 2 minutes later, fell right off. And so
and with
hot glue,
if it's too warm, it might start to kind of destabilize.
Yep.
But it's incredibly cheap.
It is.
It's incredibly user friendly. You've got a gun, your hand is away from the nozzle, kind of thing. So I still use hot glue for several things. There's hot glue in my Green Goblin cosplay.
Yeah.
It's a great reinforcer. But yeah, if you wanted to learn more about glue, I kind of break down how these kinds of glue work and what to use them for. Again, on my YouTube channel, it's free.
Is there a video on your channel for that?
There's a video on my channel just for glue.
What? Well, this channel has everything.
Yeah, I'm not done the Foam Crafting 101 channel just because I moved, and then the work I'm at is very stressful, and I've kind of gone through some kind of mental health stuff with that, and so I haven't been able to get back onto it. However, I am going to get back to it soon. We're going to do a whole thing on the fact that I will always tell you, when it comes to foam crafting and cosplay, this is an incredibly expensive hobby. Cut corners when you can. You do not have to use supreme foam from that one person who sells foam. You do not have to use the best glue product you can buy at all. Do not do that. In fact, try your best to cut corners and get as cheap as possible. Except when it comes to paint. It's the one thing where this is the thing people are going to see the most.
Yeah.
This is the thing covering everything. Spray paint is expensive. I completely agree. There's not much you can do to try and beat the coverage, the time, and the finish of spray paint. And so my painting video is going to be talking about that. I'm going to compare metallics in particular, because a lot of people will use metallics for like armor. For metallics from the dollar store, that kind of paint. Acrylics from a craft store like Michael's or Joann's, I think is your guys' version.
Joann's just went out of business.
Joann's got a business because of Michael's. I think Michael's bought Joann's.
Maybe, but yeah, I'll
I'm pretty sure I saw it.
And I was super sad about that because I was at C2E2 when what's her name? Huge cosplayer, like call her Mama something. But she partnered with she started in like Japan and
okay.
and came over here, but she partnered with Joanne, to start supplying a lot more specifically cosplay items that I don't quite see those same things at Michael's or a Hobby Lobby. That's something we have here.
Oh yeah, I've been to Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. So I was really sad. So I'm hoping that other
Yeah.
stores kind of follow suit and start picking up those.
Well, and Michael's did try and do that for a while, but they started and then the pandemic happened.
Did it? Is that a
Which
thing?
is yeah,
I don't recall.
yeah, I know. I don't recall it either, but apparently I'm just spouting off something I read on the internet
Yeah.
to sound smart.
It's fake. It was conspiracy theory. Didn't happen.
Sex.
Let's start it here.
Let's start. Yeah, you heard it here, folks. But yeah, no. So yeah, it's a series that I think is very, very helpful. It's again very short videos. Again, like I try and keep it about 10 minutes. I don't want people to have to sit down and like make dinner and make sure you have a snack lined up and 3 types of drinks. Like it's not that at all. This is a you're on your break or you're on a walk, just throw in a 10-minute video. Hopefully my voice is a fraction of the alluring sexiness that Boser has. They keep you interested.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, so there's that, and then so yeah, film crafting again. It kind of dives into a little bit more detail on that. I've been asked to do a few panels on foam crafting, and they give me about 30 minutes. And I'm like, you don't understand. I could talk about hours on this, and you want me to do like the entire thing in 30 minutes. That's wild. But I do it anyway.
Teaser to lead them back to your channel.
That's kind of how I pitch it. Yeah. So yeah, and honestly, in the end, I'll say it a couple times more. I'm sure if you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. I'd love to help, or at least try and help. Every situation's a bit different, but I'll definitely do my best.
And I keep dropping the link in the chat, and if you're listening back or watching back, that link will be below in the description. It leads right to his link tree, which you can find his Instagram, his YouTube, his Etsy, and his Patreon. Why don't you just become a patron and really support? Because, like I said at the start,
forgot I still had the Patreon active. I'll be completely honest.
Oh well, then don't click it.
No one's ever. No, it's good. The prizes and everything are great. The rewards or whatever I think are really cool. I put it up once and I forgot to promote it. I should probably start promoting that again.
Well, we're promoting it now. Go join his Patreon, you guys.
There we go.
Because he's definitely doing the work for all of you. And like time and time again, whenever I find somebody like maybe a student I'm working with in my life, or a younger friend at a con, and they're just like in agog and aghast of how's that possible, or even this past con with some like buddies my own age, where they were finally getting excited about cosplay, and they were like, where do I even begin? And so I'm grateful that I'm in a position that I know what people like you and a ton of others that I'm like, great, go to their channel. I don't know shit, but they do. And I'm just really grateful that people like you exist in this space, because it's so necessary. And I think the best way we can pay you back is by supporting you financially, because like you do put your own time, treasure, and talent into this craft for other people. So I think it's the only right thing that we can do is try to at least give a little bit back.
I appreciate that. Yeah, well, and it really comes down to the fact that I want to help people the way that I was helped in some ways. Just great cosplayers that were willing to talk with me. Easy to build, easy to understand templates from Evil Ted. And I think it's important, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, but places like this podcast, or hopefully the kind of thing that I'm doing, which is I'm trying to get rid of any barrier to entry. I'm not trying to pitch you and go, do this and you'll be famous and you'll get 1,000 views on TikTok. I don't care about that, because to get a costume on TikTok, you need to make the costume first, right? And I want to help you kind of do that, for example. And that's kind of where I try and sit. And then again, I try and the build kits is another attempt to try and lower that barrier to entry. I know what I want to make. I kind of know how to make it. I don't know what materials I need, and I'm not 100% sure on knives, or like I don't have room for a cutting mat. in my apartment or something like that. Well, it's all
Right.
cut out for you. The foam is exactly the way that I've designed my templates around. I usually do recommend foam on my templates. Like, it can be used for this thickness, but really it's designed for this thickness. So I kind of have a bit more control on that, and so that way the results are a bit more specific and more accurate to what you're seeing on like a tutorial on my YouTube, for example.
And maybe it's not foam crafting for me, but I can attest to just this mindset that you're trying to help people adopt. Like nothing that I'm doing in my life, I have ever been formally trained for. It's all been fucking around and
Yeah,
finding out. And
it's
just
true.
you do it
It's true.
enough, then you find what doesn't work, and you you find those people that are just giving you the base tools, the start to
Yeah,
at least learn enough to be dangerous. You know what I mean? And then from that, you're bound to gain skill and figure out, oh, this is how foam reacts to heat, or this kind of paint, or this kind of glue. And then you just build your knowledge from there. But it's this mindset that we have to already know what we're doing before we can even start. And that just isn't how life works. I don't know where we've
no.
failed our children and ourselves in thinking that that is the case. Because like the best lesson I learned as an adult is adults don't know what they're doing. They all just
I know.
figured it out
Yeah,
and failed.
100%. Kind of going back to the glue for a second. It's been like a minute or
Yeah,
so
yeah.
since I glued it together, and it's like I really had to. You can see it's actually like pulled some foam
Okay.
from this other piece. So the bond on contact cement, which is why I give it to people. In the video that I talked about, I do explain that hot glue is a great beginner glue because it's cheap. Super glue is a great beginner glue. However, there's some negatives to it, and the fumes, you start to get into like glue with fumes. But I always recommend getting to cement glue just because the bond is way better. But anyway, there's a little kind of tip and stuff like that.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
glue I found, especially foam, like I don't work with that kind of foam typically in my day to day. I'm working with like styrofoam and construction foam that I found different
Hmm.
ways to like play with it and mold it and melt it.
Hmm.
But for that kind of foam, I know that glue, like we use wood glue, strangely enough, it
Mm.
has a stronger bond with the foam than like when you buy foam glue, like that big one that you need in the big gun. Like it just doesn't hold the same as wood glue, and
Yeah.
it's it's that same thing where you just need somebody to kind of like mess with it long enough. You're like, oh, let's try this. Let's throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks. Literally.
And a lot of what I've done is that, or other people have done it for me, and I'm able to
Yeah.
learn from that. So, yeah.
No, I'm grateful that you're passing
Hmm.
this on. You mentioned, okay, tips and tricks. Besides having like a mindset for knowledge,
Hmm.
um, are there any tips and tricks that maybe you don't include in the kits that
Hmm.
if someone was looking back and someone upon this video would find very helpful in knowing before they assembled one of your kits?
That's a great question. Um, I don't think to honestly to build the kits, it's you're watching a tutorial. So take your time.
So it comes
Um,
with that video,
Yeah,
like,
the tutorial is. I mean, you can go watch the tutorial. I haven't made specific tutorials just yet. It's more just the tutorial for the template,
yeah,
but it's just the build. It's the building instructions, right? So
okay,
it's not anything super new or crazy.
yeah.
Um, so the only thing would be. Oh, that's honestly a really great question because I've tried to make it as simple as possible. Um, let's see.
I've just learned in like my job in communications that I have to play
Yeah.
to the dumbest level of denominator when I'm sending out
Hmm.
like some message and I'm like, okay, clearly 99% of people are going to understand when reading through this. But
Yeah.
for that 1% that's going to skim this and miss something, where what do
Yeah.
I have to like really keying in on? And I just wasn't sure if there was something that like you've learned with, I don't know, how much glue you like, is it a bead? Is it a small bit
Yeah.
or a lot?
And the tutorial that I'm building for the build kits in particular is going to kind of create a demo for the glue, just to kind of
Yeah.
show people how to use it. Um, if you can, and maybe I should include this in the build kit. This might be a good idea. Some test foam, so you can test how the glue works for the first
Oh,
time, so you're not
yeah.
doing it on the piece. That's actually not a bad idea. I
That's a
might
good
do that.
idea.
Um, I need to write that down. 1 second.
This is what I'm here for. I can't think of anything, but I can help support and throw stupid ideas until something sticks.
Perfect. I'm gonna add that to my thing. Not really for tips and tricks. Like, I think it's basically, you know, take your time. If you want to wear gloves, because obviously you're gonna get your hands kind of sticky with glue and everything like that. Wear a mask or be in a well-ventilated area. It's the only thing I'm gonna suggest. But at the same time, I'm in a basement and there's no fan going right now, so it's a lot of, you know, do what I say, not what I do.
I can see your workshop right now.
I'm pretty sure I've Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure I've like skimmed 15 years of my life off just from not obeying those kind of rules. There's not a lot that basic stuff. There's a lot of like, okay, to take it to the next level, sure. But really, when it comes to make the kits, it is as beginner friendly as I can really make it. Which is the point, and it's something that it was a lot of fun. The idea, to be completely fair, did not come from me. I was wanting to diversify my portfolio on what I sell to try and expand the business. Again, trying to make this more of a business, more of like, you know, making a living off of it. And it was really my wife's idea. She had, if you guys are into knitting or crocheting, right now you can buy bags or boxes where like you get all the yarn and the knitting needles and you get to make Frodo. And you have all the colors ready to go, and you just have to make a little like kind of stuffed Frodo doll.
Right.
And she was like, what if you did something like that, but for foam? I was like, oh my gosh, like the market is there for it because yarn, it's the thing for yarn. So let's do it for cosplay. And I don't think that exists anywhere else. Like, I think you can buy, obviously you can buy things at cons, but like not pre-made but ready to be made kits, I don't think are really out there. And I think there's a great opening.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that like not that many people have done this?
I think it's a pattern. I think you have templates and then you have finished products. It is a lot of time to develop a template and a lot of money. I'm throwing this number out because I don't really care about numbers and money, you know, that kind of stuff. To make and develop a template, on average, a brand new template takes about $200 when it comes to materials and time.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. When I actually broke it down, it's pretty crazy.
Because you have so many templates.
Well, A, I have so many templates, and B, I have to make different versions of them. So I have to test them.
Uh-huh.
Right? So, for example, right now, I will pull it up here. Just the one. Anyway. This is my Special Forces vest. It's part of, I'm in the middle of filming a tutorial for it. I made about 3 versions of it to get like the right thickness and the right look for it. But you can see there's 3 different kinds of foam here. There's this foam, there's this foam, and there's that foam. Mm-hmm. Figuring out the thickness for each one to make it look good. The glue, the sanding, the cutting. Oh, I didn't cut that one right. I didn't cut this one right. Do I need to mirror this? Do I need to mirror that? Oh, I did need to mirror it. Well, pull that off and new foam. So there's a lot of repetition. So there's a lot of investment in it, but you gotta. I know people. I know people. I've seen Etsy shops where they're selling what I'm selling for $5 and they're selling it for $25. And I'm like, it's the same product. I know how much time goes into this. I can tell you right now, no one's probably gonna buy it for $25. Or if they do, I don't mean this I don't mean this in a mean way. They really shouldn't be buying it for $25.
Like they might lack the skill. They might buy like a finished product almost, but then they still have to
exactly. And the reality is, if you're trying to make money on this, and I know I'm saying all this while saying I'm trying to make a living off of it, but it's because I love what I do and I just want to share it.
It's a good fine line, right?
There is. It's 100% a fine line. Like when I started doing templating, I started asking about prices. A lot of people were like, or asking me about prices, and I just had to look at and go. I had to look back to Evil Ted and go, what's he doing? Because obviously what he's doing is working. I am not Evil Ted. I am not competing with Evil Ted because I can't compete with Evil Ted. I know he would disagree with me, and he's a lovely, lovely person for saying so.
Can't compete
But I kind
yet,
of went,
maybe.
yeah, exactly. But what he's doing is working, and almost none of his templates are over, like, I think most of them are around $7. Right, they're about $5 US. So they're really cheap. They're really foundational, so you can really take in and run. And so I was like, I'm just gonna kind of do that because that's what I like doing, and I'm gonna price it the way he prices it because it works for him. I hope it'll work for me, and so far it has. And also, I try and make this as affordable as possible because again, I've been there. It's an expensive hobby. I don't want to make it more expensive than it has to be. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you are, yes, I told you it takes $200. You're buying a piece of paper. You're buying a couple pieces of paper to make something else, but you're really just buying a couple pieces of paper. And so, yeah, I do have to kind of charge you for it just because I'm not at the point where I can, have free stuff. Maybe one day when I get like a website or something like that, and I have enough templates that we can go for a couple different freebies. I'd love to get to that point, but it's more so I want to help people get a cheaper cosplay experience. If that's templating, so that you get to buy your own foam and you have control of that, or if it's a build kit, that you don't know how to do the foam yet, you don't want to use a knife, or don't know what glue to use. I'm gonna provide all of that for you. I just want you to build. I just want you to make something. So let me try and get you as far into that experience as possible. And the build kits are the next step in that.
I might disagree with you a little bit on, like, you said you're just buying a piece of paper, and not that I'm trying to get you to increase your prices, because I might need to tap into that soon. But
yeah.
It is so much more than a piece of paper. Like, it's all that, like, in the fundraising scene, we say, like, you're going to give of your time, talent, and treasure. And all of those things have a strong value. And in that template, you have given so much time and talent and your own treasure in being able to create that in a very easy to follow couple pieces of paper. So I say that more as an encouragement to you. I'm sure you already know that, but please don't downplay what the gift that you are giving to people and all that went into that.
No, I think what I was trying to get at was I'm not trying to overvalue what I'm doing. I think I'm trying to be very middle of the road. I know that this takes money. I've looked back and there are a total of 3 out of I think 20 templates where I've technically broken even on the investment that I made to develop them.
Okay.
There are some templates out there that I did because someone either commissioned me to do it or I thought this would be a good idea. I think this is something people want. And then there are things like the Special Forces range, which, by the way, guys, I don't have it here because I didn't think that far ahead, and I wish I did. My Special Forces helmet with the night vision goggles, that was something I just didn't see in the templating world, and I was like, but I want night vision goggles for myself. I want that. I'm gonna make it for myself, and then I'll just so happen to also sell the template.
Yeah.
There's a lot of passion project as well in a lot of the templates, which then again, it's one of those I've already made it for myself. I've already checked the box of succeeded. I've succeeded on this task. Everything else is extra,
That's one of the easier ones because you don't have to devote additional time and effort into creating something because you're already doing it, and so you just have to do that extra little step to create the template.
Yeah, I mean, the Helldivers thing is a great example from earlier. Helldivers is absolutely, if I had the time to develop and actually just sit down and let's just develop a bunch of Helldiver stuff, I'd love to do that. It's just working full time, I have to also pick and choose what kinds of templates get made and when.
You do.
So, for example, this last March, I wanted to do March of the Orc, and I wanted to do a lot of like Lord of the Rings style templates, and I didn't have the time or energy. I ended up my gallbladder decided to try and kill me. So there's that
Oh,
too. That didn't help. But
neat.
yeah, that was the end of the month. But anyway, it's just like time and effort, and I just didn't have the mental fortitude to be able to do it. And so that's just the reality of template making. But yeah, Helldivers, I want to do. Oh boy, Power Rangers, arcane stuff. I have a pile of
Yeah.
arcane patterns from Mbessa's Mask from Arcane Season 1
Oh,
and 2.
yeah. What about the
I
gauntlet? Can you make the
I
gauntlet?
love the mask. Not the gauntlet. I'm gonna eventually. Right now, it's a lot of masks. So Echo's mask,
I love that mask.
Mbessa's mask, Jinx's grenade. Um, just try and keep it a little bit more small as well. But that's kind of where I'm sitting. But yeah, like I've got Lord of the Rings stuff. I want to do a series of like ancient Greek helmets. I want to do a Roman helmet. I want to do medieval great helms, like Crusading era helmets. Like there's so many things I want to make, and if I had the time, I would. And then there's Helldivers, which like everyone loves Helldivers right now. I'd love to jump on that train.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. But you know, it is what it is. But I would love to, if you guys are okay with it, I'd love to show you just kind of how quick building a pouch would be. This is just one of the pouches of the three. I'm going to tip the camera down, and I'll
Okay.
just briefly show you again. If you're using the glue, guys, wear a mask or be in a well-ventilated area. Okay.
I'll
So,
make it a little bit bigger for this.
oh yeah, there's my
Oh, make you
vision
bigger.
board for my Rhino as a little
Make you
teaser.
bigger. So I'm trying to make you bigger, and it just
That's
wants
all right.
to keep me bigger. Can I switch you around? There we go.
There we go. Rhino vision board. There we go. Okay. So in the build kit, guys, what you're gonna do is all my pouches are built the exact same, and they all have the same pieces. So you're gonna have this one large piece, which is the outside layer. You're going to have one back, one front, one bottom, and two sides. What you're going to end up doing is gluing these inside. They're a bit smaller, so let's see. What can you see best? Front. If you can see here, on the side here, it doesn't line up perfectly with the line, and that's on purpose because everything's going to kind of fold in and around.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is I'm going to keep the words up top so you guys can see it. What you're going to do is we're going to do the sides and the front. We're just going to add glue all around here.
I'm stuck. Oh.
No.
Notice you don't just use your skin to spread that around.
No, I do not recommend that at all. Please don't.
I feel like that was a lesson hard learned.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe that's something I need to make clear because I feel like that's common knowledge, but maybe it isn't.
Dumbest common denominator.
There we go. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Okay, so we're gonna do the glue on that. This is the part where I'll either like skip or fast forward, like speed up on my tutorials because it's just so boring. It's just gluing.
I think I'm gonna clip
Paige
this
try
and just
literally.
time lapse you creating this. Like, see, kids, it only takes 15 seconds.
Only 15 seconds. If you're on drugs. No. Okay, there we go.
I mean, you're already huffing the glue. What more do
I
you
am
need?
huffing the glue.
You said that on the internet, so
I
congrats.
did. That's on there forever.
You're gonna have a drug check on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Watch.
That's what you get for going on 4 Geeks by Geeks.
It's happened so many times, can't even count.
Okay. Now, something to consider is the amount of glue that you use will increase roughly, not exponentially. The amount of what's called work time or dry time or cure time, I think is what I call it on my tutorial videos.
Okay.
If you've spread your glue out very thin, it's going to cure very quickly. If you have a lot more of it, it'll take a bit longer. But with this stuff, it takes about a minute. It's pretty quick. They've changed the recipe with this a couple of times. So when I open up a new one or I haven't bought them in a while, I'll usually open one up and just test and see if the timing is still correct. Something to consider.
What if you,
Which is why I think I'm
no.
going to do the scrap foam. I want to do the scrap foam. That's a really good idea. Yeah.
Can you make sure that you just say credit for Geeks by Geeks? Here's all of our socials and merch and website.
And
Just all of
yeah.
those things. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's gonna end up being like a NASCAR like a racer uniform with all the sponsors on it.
The foam you send is gonna have everyone's logo on it. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna paint over it anyway.
That's funny. Oh boy.
I've got all the ideas for you.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what's really cool about this while we're waiting for the glue to dry, or to cure, sorry, is what I call it. Because all my templates are made to be printed out on like an 8x11 piece of paper, I usually actually have to cut this in half to fit on one piece of paper. Because again, I want it to be able to, you can print this at home if you want to. You don't have to go to, I don't know what you guys have down there, but like a Staples.
We have a Staples.
Right? You have a Staples. Okay. I haven't been to the U.S. enough to actually know what you guys all have. But yeah, so you don't have to if you don't want to. You absolutely can, but I have designed it to make sure it is like home printer friendly. However, when you buy the build kits, and I do say this when in the tutorial for the template where I go, if you can, if you've got the length of foam, because like the foam sheets that I buy are like really long.
Okay. So it's 11 by 17 kind of thing.
Something like that. Actually, yeah. You know what? I think I didn't cut the sticker off. So anyway,
over it.
Just paint over it. It's really, really nice to have it all one piece because it's less seams. So tape the two pieces of the tutorial together. But when you buy the build kits, that's all done for you. You don't have to worry about, oh, I need painter's tape now, or I need Scotch tape. Where's my Scotch tape? It's all done for you. Okay, let's move on to the next piece. So as you can tell, it's tacky.
It's
which is when you want to work on it. So, and this is all part of the tutorial. But what you want for the front is you want to line up on the line, but on either of these sidelines you want gap because this is going to fold in, so you want room for those corners. So what you're going to do is line up as close to center as you can. Perfect. You can kind of see it there.
Okay.
And then for the sides, you're going to want to do the same thing, but you want to line up on the outside, on the inside line here. Line up.
So you still have a little bit of a gap between those two.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And you want a gap on the outside of the side as well. I'll show you in just a second here.
Yeah, because that would be me.
On the side, there's a little bit there.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit in there, right?
I'd be like, this isn't the same size. I screwed it up. Exactly,
yeah. And instead of adding like cutting lines in here to show you the guide or whatever, I just show you.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be too messy. This is exactly what the template looks like. It just says back, bottom. These say M for medium front. Like it's super simple, the template language. So I'm gonna repeat these steps for the bottom and the back. Those are the last two pieces. Again, pouches are really simple, really, really fun to build. I love building the pouches. I love seeing all the different things. If you have purchased one of my templates or eventually, hopefully one of my build kits, please let me know what you make with them because I love seeing what people make with them. I love sharing you guys and spreading the word on your own creations that you've made. I've seen things like there's a guy who bought my Special Forces helmet and he actually used like real helmet gear on it, which is really cool.
Cool.
But the photo that he sent in the review was like a pig's head, like it was like a fake pig head. So it was really funny because it's this pig wearing the Special Forces helmet. It was really, really funny. Or sometimes I'll see like cosplays and stuff, and that's always super cool to see. Or sometimes it's people using my patterns in a way that I didn't think about, or for a character I hadn't seen before, and just seeing how my templates are helping you guys is so much fun. And it really helps me keep going. Exactly, yeah.
Because when you first talked about the build kits available, these pouches actually got me more excited. Just because they're so versatile, and I love going to a rent fair, and I'm like, oh, I could use those in so many things. And so this was the top of my list of things to make.
Yeah, Well,
So,
and another thing, that's another thing I want to do is I got a lot of medieval kits as well. I've got medieval armor, I've got medieval bracers. One of the buckles that I have in my buckle bundle is what I'm calling it, is like a belt buckle with like two prongs or one prong that are perfect just for aesthetic look where you maybe don't want it to be weight bearing or anything like that, but you want
yeah.
to have a bunch of buckles all over you. It's perfect for that, but you can also use it for Deadpool, or you could use it in the future like Firefly, that kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I try and make as foundational and basic is the wrong word, but kind of simple patterns as I can so that you can buy it and use it for any and all of your cosplays.
And from a marketing standpoint too, it's brilliant because if you made things that were so niche that only works for one character, then you're gonna have like two or three maybe purchased every year. But this kind of thing anybody can use for a number of cosplays. So you thought this through, clearly.
Yeah, I think there's some things like that which are good, and there's some things that people just don't even know that they're out there. Like my Special Forces helmet, you can buy the real thing with the night vision goggles. It's going to cost you about $500,
Uh-huh.
or spend what is it? The bundle now is almost $10. Foam that you're going to need is going to cost you another 15. So spend $35 to buy the foam and the paint and some glue, and you can have exactly what you can get, and maybe not the best quality because obviously buying the real thing is much better. But for a convention, do you really want to walk around with like a couple $100 set of night vision goggles and risk breaking them? I don't think so.
No, those cons get crowded, and at the rave at night, people get rowdy. I've
Yes,
seen so
sir.
many people's cosplays just get destroyed while they're moshing at
I
the end of the night.
absolutely.
Now, question on this glue. Can you
Yeah.
let it cure too long where then it's just dry?
Yes, absolutely. So there is a perfect cure time. I describe it in the video in my YouTube, but essentially there's kind of four stages. So there's wet when you first apply it. There's kind of sticky. There's tacky, and then there's dry. It literally just does that on that last step.
Mm,
You want it on tacky, so you want it where you push your finger into it and the foam comes off, but you don't want to have to like pull it off, and you don't want to get like wet residue on your finger. Is how
okay.
I describe it. And so that's why I use the word tacky. But yeah, there is a way. Same thing with hot glue. You use it right away, and then you have to wait for it to I call it melted gummy bear stage. You don't want to move your hand or move anything in that stage, and then it hardens. Super glue is the same thing, right? Except for super glue, it's wet and then it's
It's
hard.
dry.
Yeah, exactly.
Or in my case, it's wet and then it's stuck to my fingers.
On my fingers, exactly.
And now I can't feel the tips of my fingers anymore.
So here we go. So you can kind of see here, it's holding, but it also just kind of comes off my finger if I knock it. That's the stage you want to use cement glue at. So in the same way that I did the front, we're going to use, this is the back. We're going to line up again, make sure that there's space on either side. Try and get it as centered as possible.
And it's glue
There we
on
go.
glue.
Glue
Just
on
gluing
glue.
Okay.
No. And then the bottom is going to sit perfectly between. It's going to have gaps on the side and all the way around it. That's what we want. And then there we go.
And you hand cut all of these kits
do.
yourself.
I do. This is all hand cut. I use rulers. I recently bought like a 45-degree cut guide to help with that to make it consistent. This is all hand cut.
That's insane. Do you have plans to like, I don't know, mass produce this in a stronger way in the future, just so you don't have to spend all this time every time?
Well, my hope is that if that's needed, this will be my job, so I will have the time.
And you can buy the equipment and afford
I can buy the
some
equipment,
factory.
exactly. Yeah, or it'll be like a day. I'll take a day to cut stuff out. So right now, what I'm doing is I am now reapplying glue because again, the curing does exist in between the cracks here.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna start by folding the sides in. And again, this has been 15 minutes?
Not even.
Not even?
Probably 7.
Oh, okay. And this is the medium one, right? So there's a smaller one that's about It's about half as thin. It's about the same depth. This one was designed, the medium one was designed to fit a phone. Your phone will stick up off the top of it, but it is designed to put a phone. The large one was designed with a phone and a wallet in mind as well. So
Okay.
I did think about some functionality. Later on, I'll explain that the top and the lip you can leave open if you wanted to put a Velcro or a real buckle onto it. Or for most cases, if you're putting like a dozen pouches on, you don't necessarily want a dozen functional pouches, so you can just kind of glue it shut, you
Sure.
know?
Just weighing yourself
Um,
down.
yeah, just weighing yourself down.
You're now
Exactly.
the like goat herder at the con where you're just carrying everybody's stuff, pack mule.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, so it's pretty fun. And this one in particular, again, is made for smoother sides. You can make more like robust right angle cornered pouches if you want, but this is the one. It's more like I kind of describe it as almost like an origami kind of style. It's a lot of just kind
Uh-huh.
of folding in and then holding together. Um, but yeah, these ones are very special to me because they are my number one seller on my Etsy. People love these guys. In fact, my very first build kit I ever sold, which was yesterday, was the pouch build kit, which is kind of funny. It's a little ironic.
Is that what you expected?
No, I thought Batman. I thought someone going, oh my gosh, I could make the Batman cowl just out of that stuff. Sign me up. No one was interested in Batman.
Well, when you talked about the build kits, it was me saying pouches, yes, and T saying I want to be Batman. So you made that for him.
Exactly.
He's grateful.
Yeah, I am grateful as well. Batman's got its, that soft part of my heart. So I'm just moving the camera up again because I'll show you kind of what it is to
Okay.
build. But all I'm doing is I'm going to be applying glue into all these side sections here, once in series essentially. Um, but yeah, so this is really nice. Again, it's total because of the thickness of the foam here. I wanted to make sure the pouches were light and functional. It's about 3 millimeters worth of foam, if not a little bit less than that. Um, Again, trying to make it thin. You could do it thick, but it's designed for thin foam. You may have some problems building it, which is why I recommend using just different pieces of 1 millimeter foam.
Because it probably wouldn't fold as easily, and then wouldn't like bend and connect to itself because it's just a lot more surface area to try to glue into,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, I think that's good to go. So we're just gonna fold it in here,
Oh, see, this is
and
where the magic
sometimes,
happens off
yeah,
camera.
here
Okay, okay. I was gonna say this is you're skipping the tutorial steps now.
you can see
Now, does the glue help it fold like that? Like because you put some in the
exactly.
corner? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm reinforcing it. Later on, I'll actually go in and you can see, like, look at that. Look how smooth the curve is, right? You can
Yeah.
go in and pinch it some more if you wanted. But for the sake of the video, I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do, though, going forward is I'm just going to add a bit more glue to everything so we can kind of do the remaining steps a bit quicker. Again, um, go your own speed. The best part about YouTube tutorials, you can pause them and go back and rewatch them if you need to rewatch something. When it comes to a lot of like more complicated pieces, I'll actually instruct someone to like watch this next part before you actually do anything. Like watch this next part in its entirety.
I'm always
Um,
grateful for tutorials that do that because I would just be like doing it and then I'm like, fuck! I didn't know it was
yeah,
gonna do that. You should have told me.
exactly. Exactly. And I mean, like, really, I'd almost recommend that you watch it all my tutorials before doing anything, um, to give me better watch time on YouTube, so I get better.
There it
No, I'm
is.
totally kidding.
There it
I'm
is.
completely kidding. Um, but it is helpful to kind of know what all the steps are going to be and be a bit more familiar before you do anything. So it's definitely worth doing that kind of strategy, and maybe that's my answer to what's a strategy or technique for the build kits. Watch the
Watch live
tutorials
videos.
first. Yeah, watch the videos first,
See,
and
this extra
then
little piece of foam you're using to spread, Boser would
yes,
have never in a million years. I'm like, well, what do? I guess I just lose the first three layers of my skin as I'm spreading this around.
That's fair. No, and I think the idea of the strap foam that you gave me is a great idea. I think I'll add that to to the build
Yeah,
kit
because what
there.
would they
Okay.
spread it with?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and it's a really good point. I will I'm gonna add that to the build kits.
See, when
Okay,
I'm talking
so
about
now
dumbest common
everything's glued
denominator,
down.
I'm talking about
Thomas
me.
Dominaire. Oh, that's great. It's honestly a great idea. I didn't even think about that, to be honest. The only thing is you do have to have some sort of like knife or scissor to open up the glue, because obviously I'm not going to ship you glue that's open. Um, it's just not safe, and just not, good etiquette.
The Global Postal Service might have some questions for you.
Yeah, probably. But
Now, does blowing
anyway,
on it speed it up?
I've never tried it. I'm sure it does, but it's also like a chemical, kind of balance, right? So.
You've never blown on the glue? You never
No,
thought to blow on the glue?
no,
That'd be the
no.
first. I'm a faster. I hate dry time.
I'm sure it would help, to be honest, but no, I have to say I am too much of a follower, apparently, to have. I'm just going to trust the process.
Well, it's probably the correct thing because like I'd take a heat gun to that thing. I'm like that would work, but it'd probably like solidify the top layer, and you would actually get the bond.
That'd be funny. That'd be actually kind of funny to see the. Yeah, that'd be really good.
Oh, don't worry, I'll order one of these kits. I'll film me putting it together, and then you can use it as a what not to do. I'm not gonna watch a tutorial. Here's why you should watch this guy screw it up.
Watch this guy screw it. No, no. Maybe.
I've done it.
but
I've
no.
literally already done it. I don't think I posted it to YouTube. You had to be there to watch it.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember that being like a. I think we made that agreement, which was fun. It was a hilarious time. I wish I could have been there in person because I think that would have been so much better. I think we would have just laughed a whole lot more
Oh.
and a lot less would have been done. But
I mean, we only got halfway through, but by the end of the video, T and I are like, does this reflect him well? No. Does this reflect us well? No, but that's normal.
oh boy, no, that was fun. That was good. Good memories. Okay, I
definitely gonna
think
have
the
to
glue
use
should be good
kits.
here. So remember,
Okay.
we're kind of here, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna meet this that with this.
So that's
We're
why
kinda-
you need the extra little lip of foam on the outsides and the edges.
Exactly.
Okay.
There we go.
Wow.
And we're gonna do the same thing here.
He did the same thing when we were building the Batman cowl. He just like, boom, see Batman cowl. And
Yeah, do A, and then we're gonna meet the lines as best we can, going up.
But this, I would say, is definitely where your skill set comes in just like knowing how much space to leave and making sure. You can tell that you've done this plenty of times. So I think the number one tip is order 3 kits. Because the first 2 are practice. Or
I
do
am
it, buy
also
2,
going
get 1
to-
free.
I too am going 3. Well, I am also going to eventually, like, if the kits do kind of take off, I am going to add the ability to order 3 mediums, 3 smalls, and 3 larges, like specifically because a lot of people, I think a lot of people buy the kit for medium, to be honest, because it's a great size, but give people the option. So anyway, there we go, all glued together. Now, as I mentioned before, and let's see if I can find. I can't
Now it's
because
been
I
15
brought
minutes.
it. Now it's been 15 minutes. So, and that's with talking involved. I just
Yeah.
need to point that out. Okay, so yeah, basically what the next step would be, if you wanted to close this and not make it functional, you just add glue on the edges of this top piece here and along the rim, and then you glue down, and then you glue the pouch shut, and you add a
Voila.
googly eye right there. Or if you wanted to add Velcro and make it functional, you would, I'll do this live. What you do is you figure out where you want this to sit. You'd mark it out with a Sharpie, and then you'd put Velcro here, and then you'd put Velcro on the lip right there. And then there you go. It's a functional pouch. If you want to add your own buckles or anything like that, that's up to you. There's a lot of templates that I sell where I go, How you put this on your face is up to you. I can't tell you how to do that because I don't know what you can afford. I don't know what kind of materials that you have access to. So I'm going to let you figure this out. Whether or not you make this functional is completely up to you, and how to attach a buckle and do I need to make a seam and cut and glue it, that's going to be up to you. I just give you the shape, the shell.
How would you attach that to a belt?
So a belt is really easy. You would just take more 1 millimeter foam or something maybe a little bit thicker, and you would just make a loop. So you'd glue. Let's see what I got. What do I got here? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I will make something really quick here. All right. So you cut something out like this. Ooh, sticker. You'd make something like this. This is 5 millimeter foam or something a bit thinner. You would apply glue just to the top, just to the bottom. You'd figure out where on the pouch you want this to go. You would apply glue just here and just there. And then when you do glue it together, you'd be able to, you can't really see it, but you'd be able to kind of lift it up and put a belt through that opening. You could also, if you wanted to add a little bit more room, instead of just gluing it right where it sits, you could lift it up and glue down kind of right there.
And that would push against the glue eventually and like pop off the belt. Like
cement glue has phenomenal bond strength, and again, this is meant to hold a foam. It's not meant to hold tungsten. So you're really not going to be actually putting too much weight on these types of things usually. If you do, you may want to look into something like elastic strap instead, something with a little bit more give. The thicker the foam, the stronger. You've got more surface area, so that's something to consider as well. What angle you do it. So if the strap is like this and the force is going to be down, that's great. If it's going to be sideways and the force is going to be down, maybe not as good. But something to consider. You just have to kind of look at the cosplay, figure out what you want to do with it. You could also just glue this straight onto like a belt strap if you want. If it's like a foam belt strap or you're attaching it to body armor, you could just glue it straight to the body armor. No one's going to know that there's not a loop back there.
Right.
And then it's going to create a better bond because you've got more glued down. So
I need to try this cement glue because I have trust issues with glue, and you seem to have a lot of trust in this cement glue, and I'm like, that's gonna pop right off. I'm having like PTSD from my heat gun or the hot glue, and I'm like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Well, for example, so this is. I'm just gonna pull this off. I'll show you just really quick. I'm gonna pull this off. This has the seam, which means it's a weak point. Any seam is a weak point without it being reinforced. So I can very easily pull that off, right?
Or you're super strong.
Or let's go with that last one. What I can't do is, I'm even struggling just to pull the corners off. So there we go. I've kind of unraveled it, right? I'm going to try and peel this off. I've got edges.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just because it's got far more surface area to contact with.
So just from the beginning, I'm tearing both pieces off of each other.
Oh no!
I can't pull one up, and I literally just glued this a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So the bond of cement glue, and this is why I encourage people to eventually, in their own time, their own comfortable rate, move your way to cement glue. It's a bit more daunting in the beginning, but the bond is better. You're gonna thank me once you start using cement glue.
And you can just pick that up at any craft store or dollar store.
Yeah. So the brand, the place I go up tier is called Dollarama. I don't know where you could find them in the U.S. other than hardware stores. I think Bondo. Oh, yeah. Is it Bondo or something like that?
That's the name brand, isn't it?
LePage is another one up here.
Yeah, we don't have that in India.
In hardware stores. They'll come with a brush. Sometimes this one is just, it's cheaper and I can easily get it because it's at a dollar store. But a lot of other brands will come with a brush that you can apply. But
okay. And look at that, in 15 minutes, he made an entire medium-sized pouch. And so if you add in another 20 for all of us, it'd be like, I don't know if this is going to work. That's still under 30, no, okay, 5 minutes over. 35 minutes where you have that done. And it
And then
comes,
consider the hours of trying to figure out the
Yep.
folding for yourself, and I didn't measure
Yep.
that right?
And these
So-
kits all pre-cut, sends all the foam, sends the glue. All you need to do is glue it, wipe it with a scrap piece of foam, trademark,
Which will now be
by
included
Geeks.
in the build kit.
You're welcome, Internet. And that's awesome. That was actually so much faster than I expected, and I knew that you could do it fast because you've done it before and you're good at it.
Yeah.
But, when you started it, it was like 9:45 Eastern Standard, and I'm like, he's starting this now? Boom.
Very
done.
quick. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. And again, all the pouches are built, they're the exact same. It's the same pieces, they just are different thickness, like different sizes.
Yeah.
But it's built the exact same. My tutorial, I literally just show you how to make the medium one and go, do this for all the other ones.
Yep.
Which is the great thing about like buying a pack like that is it's repetition, right? And with repetition just comes speed and efficiency. So
And confidence. And that is really what you're selling. That's your...
Hopefully. That's what I hope.
That's why I like you, Noah, because you are selling confidence. No, but it's not about, like, right now, like you've mentioned a few times that ideally this could make you money, but that's not your main motivator. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it now. Your main motivator is to give newbies like myself and countless others watching this video, millions, the confidence to just get started. And then from that, you can build and find your own style and create any sort of cosplay you want, because Freakish gave you the building blocks to do so.
Hopefully.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to see this take off, and I'm honored that you are sharing this first with us. So we're going to help spread the word and share this so that more people can get the attention that you deserve and all of your work deserves. And while you're there, you guys, you can, again, use command Freakish while you're here in the chat, or you can check out the link below in the description if you're watching this back or listening to it back, and check out his Instagram. You'll be inspired. That will be your inspo page. You'll see all the things that you can do with foam in ways like the things that you're doing. Like the Green Goblin is one that always comes back to you because it's like a cool kabuki style Green Goblin, all made with foam. Yeah. And once you guys start, you'll find your own creativity unlocked. But it's that gateway of like, I don't know that I can. You can. Freakish.
It's just the confidence. It's repetition. It's getting in there and just trying it. And again, stuff like this, hopefully, and I'm not the only one doing tutorials. I'm not the only ones doing how-to builds. Please go look at amazing other cosplayers. You've got people like SKS Props, who's like a professional cosplayer. You've got Kamui Cosplay, Evil Ted. I will always say Evil Ted. Look up Trisrex. He's got a phenomenal... Oh, I don't know. Maybe go check out my How to Be a So You Want to Be a Cosplayer series, because I talk to a bunch of different cosplayers that do a bunch of different things. I talk to people who only buy their cosplays. I do people who are if you want to do content creation and social media side of cosplay. I interviewed Canadian Cutie Cosplay. Yeah, I think that's her tag.
Yeah.
So many people. So many people. 3D printing. Hey. Yeah, there's so many people out there, and hopefully my channel you can either get started on the foam crafting, or you can find someone who you can start following and kind of start your journey. So yeah, check out my YouTube because of that. I'm also starting new series-ish. So for example, I just finished a series on my YouTube. It's called How To. It's not a tutorial per se, but I walk you through my process of how I build this. I'm going to be doing something like make a sword using only dollar store materials. How to make really cheap elven leaf armor. I've got a bunch of ideas for those that are very simple, very affordable, very approachable, and hopefully kind of get the gears rolling on inspiration. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Always, you have so much going on. I do not know where you find the time or the motivation, like the well from which your creativity is drawn. I'm always in awe of that, and we're always going to be a big fan here at FGBG. So thank you once again for coming back as returning guests, and I'm sure you'll be back in the future because you can't help yourself by expanding further. your build kits have now gone into your like colossal Batman entire cosplays. So you're gonna come back for that, and until then, we're gonna keep spreading the word here on our end, and I'm gonna have to buy one of those kits, and hopefully I won't screw it up too bad. But if I do, it's at least some sort of content that you can use.
It'll be at least like R&D. I'll use it for research and development.
Great, that's what we're here for. But all of you in the chat, thank you so much for joining us for another Geek Out Sesh. Stick around for the raid. We're taking it to Gnome, and she's doing some tabletop RPGs, which you know here on the channel we love. And keep checking out Freakish. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow him. Give him all the love and follow the journey, because I think you're going to be inspired by it as we are. But until next time, I am Boser.
I am Freakish.
And you just keep geeking out.
Geeking out.
There,
I got
you
it.
got
I
it.
I got
You
it.
got it.
Wow.